Okay, so on today's episode of I Got Problems I'm Dumb Enough to Think I Can Fix, check this out. This crankshaft is from a mid-60s, like a 68, 67, 302 block, and therefore it's got the two-piece oil slinger. Basically what that does is that keeps a two-piece seal in place for the rear main. And my old block was trash, so I went ahead and I got this new block. This is a roller block. Problem is, set up for one piece. Now you can use a older crank in a newer block. This stuff's all old. From the 90s is the newest. But what you gotta do is you gotta cut that slinger off. So I got it set up here in my 12-inch Logan. Yeah, probably not the best setup. The only tool I could get to fit in there is a parting tool with a carbide insert. But I'm gonna sneak up on it and see if I can't make a crank that's acceptable of accepting a one-piece seal. Check back in just a second and we'll see if I destroyed it or if I made something usable. Okay, here it is off the machine. Now dimensionally, I got it super close to this one. This is like a mid-90s crank or mid-80s crank. So this is the crank that was actually designed for that block over there. So dimensionally, here's what I got. So the width of these two are the same. 878 right here, and this measured out at 877, so it's like half a thou. It was around half a thou skinnier on this earlier crank here. Now this one, it does have a ridge. So this ridge actually measures different than the flat part here. I measured both of them. The ridge on this other crank was measured at 639 thousandths. And I cut this one right at 639 thousandths. So this dimension is the same. The flat here, again, this is a dimension that I didn't cut. This is what they were. This one was 626. So I've read a few different things on doing this, like that you can't use an earlier crank in a later block, and that they make a seal to put a later crank in an earlier block. But I haven't seen anyone do this. I have seen some people say you don't need to cut that oil slinger shoulder off. And then I've also seen people say that back in the day, they just used to cut them off. So I figured if I can dimensionally make this older crank the same as a newer crank, and there's nothing happening on that shoulder where I cut that off, because there might have been some like case hardening on the crank. I don't know, I don't think so, but at least not on that part, but that I could have removed with the lathe. But I think it's gonna be fine. So dimensionally, it's the same as a later crank. It's going in a later block. So I don't see why it won't work. Later today, all my bearings and my rear main are gonna show up, and we'll mock it up over on the block and see if